Imagine a warship that fires 100 defensive rounds in a single engagement and spends less than the cost of fueling the ship for the day. Imagine a destroyer whose magazine doesn't deplete with every drone swarm because its primary weapon doesn't use a magazine at all. It draws from the ship's electrical grid, and every shot costs roughly the same as running the galley microwave for 3 minutes. Not in theory, not on paper. In operational testing on the USS Preble, right now in the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea, the US Navy has exactly one operational high-energy laser weapon deployed on a warship. One. China claims at least 12 directed energy systems in testing, including the LY-1, a shipborne laser that made its public debut at a military parade in September 2025 and is now undergoing maritime trials in early 2026. Let me show you why this asymmetry matters, how the math of directed energy doesn't just improve the cost-exchange ratio of modern naval warfare, it inverts who the math punishes, and what that inversion means for the industrial base that has to build these systems at scale. The numbers that define the current cost exchange crisis are brutal, and they are not theoretical. Between October 2023 and early 2026, Houthi forces in Yemen fired more than 400 drones and missiles at US Navy and allied warships in the Red Sea. A Shahed-type one-way attack drone costs approximately $20,000 to $30,000 to produce. The US Navy's standard interceptors, the SM-2 and SM-6, cost approximately $2.5 million and $4.3 million per round, respectively. That means every time a destroyer defends itself against a $20,000 drone with an SM-2, it is spending $125 for every dollar the adversary spent. With an SM-6, the ratio climbs above $200 to 1. This isn't a design flaw. It's not an acquisition failure. It is the structural reality of kinetic missile defense. You are firing a precision-guided supersonic vehicle with a radar seeker, a fragmentation warhead, and a solid rocket motor at a fiberglass airframe with a lawnmower engine. The math was never going to work in the defender's favor, and the adversary doesn't need to win most of these engagements. They just need to keep firing until the defender's magazine is empty. A Burt-class destroyer carries 96 VLS cells. Not all of those cells hold air defense missiles. Some are allocated to Tomahawks, some to anti-submarine rockets, some to the new maritime strike variant. In a sustained multi-day engagement against drone swarms, a destroyer can burn through its defensive magazine in a matter of hours. The ship isn't defeated by a kill shot, it's defeated by subtraction, forced to withdraw because it has nothing left to shoot. This is the attrition model that China's naval strategists have studied for decades. Saturation attack doctrine. Overwhelm the defender's magazine depth with more inbound threats than they have interceptors. It is not a new idea. What is new is the price point. When a drone costs $20,000, you can build thousands of them for the cost of one warship. You don't need to sink the ship. You just need to send more drones than it has missiles. The SM-6 production line currently produces approximately 125 rounds per year. At $4.3 million per round, the Navy's annual SM-6 procurement alone costs roughly $538 million, and that buys you 125 shots against an adversary that can produce thousands of drones per month. This is the math that should terrify you, and it is the math that directed energy was designed to break. The HELIOS system, high-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance, is currently deployed on the USS Preble, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. HELIOS is a 60-kilowatt class solid-state laser. 60 kilowatts. For context, that is roughly the power draw of a Tesla supercharger. It is not a death ray. It doesn't vaporize incoming missiles in a single pulse. What it does is focus a sustained beam of infrared energy on a target, typically a drone or a small boat, until the target's airframe, sensors, or control surfaces fail from heat stress. In February 2026, HELIOS successfully neutralized 4 drone threats in a single counter-UAS demonstration at sea. 4 drones, 4 kills, and the ship never touched its VLS magazine. The only ammunition consumed was diesel fuel converted to electricity, at a cost estimated between $1 and $10 per engagement. This is the inversion. Every kinetic interceptor you fire costs more than the threat it destroys. Every laser engagement you fire costs less, often orders of magnitude less. The adversary's cost imposition strategy, drown the defender in cheap threats, stops working when the defender's marginal cost per kill collapses. But the 60 kilowatt HELIOS is just the entry point. The Navy's directed energy roadmap includes ODIN, the Optical Dazzling Interdictor Navy, a lower power system designed specifically to blind drone sensors rather rather than destroy them. ODIN is already installed on 3 Burt-class destroyers, with 2 more installations planned this year and 3 more in the pipeline. It doesn't kill drones, it disorients them, burning out their optical guidance at a range of several kilometers, and it costs even less per use than HELIOS. Above HELIOS sits the Solid-State Laser Technology Maturation Demonstrator, SSL-TM, a 150 kilowatt class laser that the Navy spent 6 months restoring in 2025 for a major Defense Department exercise. At 150 kilowatts, you cross a threshold, sufficient power to engage not just small drones, but cruise missiles, fast attack craft, and potentially the sensor packages on anti-ship ballistic missiles. The leap from 60 to 150 kilowatts is not incremental. It is the difference between point defense against the cheapest threats and area defense against the threats that currently force a destroyer to fire an SM-6. And then there is Iron Beam. Israel's Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, the same company that builds Iron Dome, has developed a 100 kilowatt class high-energy laser designed to intercept rockets, mortars, and drones. Iron Beam completed operational testing in 2025 and cost approximately $3.50 per interception in electricity. $3.50. Compare that to Iron Dome's Tamir Interceptor at $50,000 per round. Iron Beam doesn't replace Iron Dome, it complements it, handling the short-range, high-volume threats, so the expensive interceptors are reserved for the threats that lasers can't yet address. The cost reduction is not 90%, it is not 99%, it is 99.99%, 4 nines of cost removed from every defensive engagement. At $3.50 per shot, a destroyer could fire 100,000 intercepts for $350,000, less than 1/10 the cost of a single SM-6 round. But there is a catch. Actually, there are several. Lasers are line-of-sight weapons. They degrade in fog, sea spray, smoke, and heavy precipitation. A laser that can engage targets at 10 kilometers in clear weather might be limited to 3 kilometers in maritime haze. And the electrical draw is not trivial. You are pulling power from the same generators that run the ship's Aegis combat system, its radar arrays, its propulsion. On a Burt-class destroyer with a total electrical generation capacity of approximately 7.5 megawatts, a 150 kilowatt laser represents about 2% of total ship power. Manageable for short engagements, but a real constraint in a sustained multi-day battle where every system on the ship is running hot. And lasers are slow to kill. A missile destroys a target in seconds. Impact, detonation, done. A laser dwells. It needs seconds, sometimes 5, sometimes 10, sometimes longer, of continuous beam on target time to destroy a drone. In a saturation attack where dozens of threats arrive simultaneously, a single laser director can only engage one target at a time for several seconds each. The math of simultaneous engagements still favors the attacker if you only have one laser per ship. This is why the operational concept is not replace every VLS cell with a laser. It is use lasers to handle the cheap, slow, high-volume threats so that VLS cells are preserved for the fast, maneuverable, high-altitude threats that lasers can't yet engage. The laser is not a replacement for the missile. It is a force multiplier for the magazine, extending the destroyer's staying power in a prolonged fight by removing the lowest-tier threats from the interceptor budget. Now let's talk about China. At the V-Day military parade in September 2025, China publicly unveiled the LY-1, a shipborne high-energy laser weapon mounted on what was described as a civilian vessel. The optics suggest a power class comparable to or exceeding HELIOS, likely in the 100 to 150 kilowatt range based on the system's physical footprint and cooling architecture. China has also tested ground-based directed energy systems for counter-drone and counter-satellite applications, and multiple open-source intelligence reports indicate at least 12 directed energy programs in active testing across the People's Liberation Army Navy and the PLA Strategic Support Force. 12 programs. The US Navy has one operational shipboard laser and a handful of demonstrators. The production asymmetry matters because directed energy weapons depend on specialized components that are subject to the same industrial-based constraints as every other advanced defense system. High-power laser diodes, precision optics, thermal management systems, and critically, rare earth elements that are essential to solid-state laser performance. China controls approximately 60% of global rare earth mining and roughly 90% of rare earth processing. The same industrial base that gives China its advantage in artillery shell production also gives it a structural advantage in the materials that make directed energy weapons possible. The global military laser systems market was valued at $6.08 billion in 2025 and is projected to reach $14.06 billion by 2035, an 8.74% compound annual growth rate. That growth is being driven almost entirely by the counter-drone mission. Every major military power has now observed, in the Red Sea, in Ukraine, in the Taiwan Strait simulations, that defending against cheap drones with expensive missiles is economically unsustainable. Lasers are the only technology currently fielded that addresses the cost side of the equation without sacrificing capability. The question is not whether lasers work. HELIOS proved that in February 2026. The question is whether the United States can field them at scale before the cost exchange crisis in the Pacific forces a choice between two bad options: exhaust the interceptor inventory defending against drone swarms, or accept losses that no peacetime navy is willing to contemplate. The Defense Department's directed energy budget has grown, but it remains a fraction of what is spent on traditional missile defense. For fiscal year 2026, the Navy requested funding to expand ODIN installations and continue SSL-TM testing. Both positive signals, but there is no program of record for a production standard shipboard laser, no multi-year procurement contract comparable to the SM-6 production line, and no public timeline for when every surface combatant in the fleet will carry a directed energy weapon as standard equipment. China, by contrast, has moved the LY-1 from concept to parade display to maritime trials in less than 2 years. The speed of that cycle, concept to at-sea testing, suggests that directed energy is not an experimental curiosity in China's naval modernization program. It is a priority. The math of the Pacific is a scaled-up version of the math of the Red Sea. A carrier strike group operating within range of Chinese anti-ship ballistic missiles and drone swarms would face threat volumes that make the Houthi campaign look like a live-fire exercise. The DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missile, the DF-26, the proliferating family of cruise missiles, the unmanned surface vessels, these threats do not arrive one at a time. They arrive in coordinated salvos designed to saturate every layer of the defensive architecture simultaneously. In that environment, a destroyer's 96 VLS cells are a liability, a finite, exhaustible, and deeply expensive resource that the adversary can force you to spend faster than you can replenish. Lasers do not eliminate that problem, but they address it in a way that no other technology currently can, by making the defender's marginal cost per engagement so low that the saturation strategy stops making economic sense for the attacker. This is not a technology story. It is an industrial base story. The country that fields directed energy weapons at scale first, not in demonstrations, not in tests, but in operational squadrons with trained crews and established logistics pipelines, will have rewritten the cost exchange model that has governed naval warfare since the introduction of the anti-ship missile. And right now, based on publicly available data, one country has one laser at sea and 12 programs in development. The other has 12 systems in testing and an industrial base that controls the raw materials needed to build more. The arsenal of democracy was built on the principle that industrial throughput wins wars. Directed energy asks a new question. What happens when throughput itself becomes the weapon, and the side that produces more energy, not more missiles, not more shells, but more kilowatts into the fight, gains an advantage that no amount of traditional manufacturing can match? Type laser or missile in the comments. Does directed energy replace the VLS cell, or does it buy the arsenal of democracy enough time to solve the production problem from the other direction? There is no right answer. This is DIB Dispatch, where billion-dollar projects meet battlefield reality.